Welcome back to OK So Garage. Today we're going to show you something you've never seen before.
That's right. Today we're installing this 5.3 liter LS engine in this Squarebody Chevy pickup. Wow.
Totally awesome. Okay, so today we are putting another LS 5.3 in a Squarebody truck, okay? On this pickup, we are going to use factory gauges, which we haven't been doing a lot of lately, and we get a lot of questions about it. So today we're going to show you how we go about putting an LS in with factory gauges, okay?
Okay.
All right. We're also going to take the opportunity with this one to answer a few other questions that we get, because a lot of times we're putting them in and we kind of just skip over things, or I say something dumb and you edit it out, or whatever.
Whichever.
So we're going to answer a few questions while we do it and go over a little bit more of the process of what it takes to put it in its exact spot and why it needs to be in a perfect spot, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so let's get at it.
Let's do it.
All right, so this is a 5.3 LS, okay? We rebuilt it. We've done everything that we possibly can do to it to put it in this truck. And we, like I said, we're gonna do factory gauges on it, okay? We're not gonna use a digital dash. So we're gonna go over how I go about doing that. And I like to do it before I put the engine in, because it's a lot easier to do it now and have a plan, you know?
Yep.
Right? So let's talk about the oil pressure first, okay?
Okay.
This is the oil pressure sending unit that I took out of this 84. The truck originally had a 350 in it, okay?
Okay.
And they did have different setups, but this is what came out of this truck. And this is the oil cap that goes right there on our donor motor, okay?
Okay.
And I don't know why they were like that, but some of the donors have this one. And when I have these, it's like gold to me. Mm-hmm. I just drill the hole. I drill a hole in it, okay? And then I just thread 1/4-inch national pipe taper threads in it, okay?
Sweet.
And so then that ends up screwing in it perfectly. It's at a little bit of an angle because this thing is huge. If it's straight up, it hits that boss right there, so it doesn't work. But the ones that are at an angle like that, they work awesome for these, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to use a whole bunch of cool terms in this one because of our intro.
Ooh.
Right?
Radical, man.
Yeah. Okay, so that's basically what I did on that. If you have one of those, don't throw them away. Put them in the mail and send them to me.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, please.
Or Emily. Emily likes them too.
Make a necklace out of it.
If your donor didn't have that, or if it had, well, we'll talk about cooling lines in a second, okay? But if your donor didn't have that style, because some of them were just like this and didn't have that little tube thing that stuck out, okay?
Okay.
Some of them were like that.
Just a cap.
And these are junk, so don't mail me these, okay? Because I don't need them. All right.
Okay.
We have plenty of them. Okay, so if you don't happen to have one of those, ICT, I'm sure there's other companies out there that make them, but these are what we buy. Emily will put a link on it for all the parts that we talk about in this one.
Yep.
But you can buy that, and in order to make these work, I end up having to put like a 90-degree fitting on it. And I have to buy this fitting also that goes into this one, which is the same thread as the original equipment oil pressure sending unit. Okay?
Oh, I see.
And we'll give you a link to that too if you want it. But on this truck, I like to use the original one also, so I can read it off the scan tool.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
But like I said, if you don't have that one, you can buy these, okay? And then the thing just sits right there where you want it, okay?
Sweet.
All right. So, like the red truck that I just did, I put an oil cooler on it, okay? And this is the fitting for the oil cooler, and it ends up you don't have any kind of a place to put that, okay? So if you're going to use an oil cooler setup, then you have to do something else, all right? So we'll break it down and talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. So, in the event that you are going to use an oil cooler, and if you do want to run the original equipment one, so you can use a scan tool to read it also, or if you're ever planning on putting a Dakota Digital or a digital one in that uses the BIM that reads it off the computer,
Oh, yeah.
then you would have that there already, okay? So, but in the event that you're not, or that you're going to use both of them, we buy this little fitting, okay?
Okay.
And so it threads in. I don't have the washer on there. There's an aluminum washer that goes between the block and that, but, and then the original fitting screws into the top of it, okay?
I see.
And then it takes a little bit of an adapter to get it up and moved out of the way. You have to put a 90 on it to get it to fit in here. So,
But that gives you a spot to put your...
yeah, so that gives you another option for your oil fitting. And
I see.
if you're lucky, they're not this big, but on this pickup, they were this big. The ones that use just a light, okay?
Yeah.
An oil light, they're smaller, and they basically work and wire in the same fashion. So it doesn't matter if you have a gauge or an oil light, you would do that the same way, okay?
Okay. Same method both ways?
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right. And honestly, I prefer to have them down at above the oil filter,
Yeah.
you know, because I mean it does get a little tight in there. So
Yeah. Back against the firewall. Runs out of space pretty quick.
yes. Okay. So we won't tighten that now because we haven't primed this motor, but we will before we go to fire it up.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it for the oil pressure gauges. That's the options that I use for them. I'm sure there's others out there, but I don't know about them.
Tell us about them.
Yeah, that's right. Let us know how you do it, okay? All right, so temperature. This is the 1984 temperature sensor. It's 3/8 National Pipe Taper fitting on it.
Okay.
ICT, I buy that from them. Like I said, I'm sure there's somebody else that makes this adapter. So it screws in to the temperature port on that cylinder head. Right hand rear, because we still have the LS one in the left cylinder head, okay?
Ah.
So that'll get tightened. Temperature sensor, one wire, and you're good to go. Okay.
Yeah.
And that couldn't get any more simple, really. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's the only place really that I know to put that. All right. So, like I said, we're going to leave the LS sensor in it. This thing reads at a different ohm, so you can't really use this one. It's not the same.
Yeah, your
Not the
gauge
same sensor.
wouldn't read right.
They do make one, and I've seen where it ends up being a 3-wire one, a 3-wire sensor, and you end up rewiring this. And it works, but I don't like to do that because if the person ever has to go buy a part for it or whatever,
Yeah.
then you have a bunch of different stuff that you're working with, okay?
Yeah.
So I like to leave the LS stuff,
Yeah.
okay? And the wiring and the computer on this one is a 2004 LM7,
Okay.
okay? So that way they can go buy one of these, they're a dime a dozen, and fix it, because they do fail all the time.
Yep.
Right? All right, so all these fancy sensors, they are not going to work if we don't wire them up,
Oh.
okay? They're not wireless,
Oh.
like everything else these days.
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth, yeah. Oh, that'll be next,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Okay, so temperature. General Motors, they were like a one-trick pony with wiring, which is great, so I can remember it better. Most of their temperature wires were green.
Yes.
Okay. or green had something to do with temperature most of the time back in those days, and nowadays it's not like that, but whatever. But this is going to give us an opportunity to use a, you want to say it or you want me to say it?
Oh, you gotta say it.
A high quality butt connector.
Butt connector.
And it'll also give us an opportunity to answer a question about our butt connectors, okay?
Oh, yes.
First of all, I want people just out there screaming butt connectors every time we say it.
Uh-huh.
All right, but a lot of people ask if they are fuel proof.
Yeah, when we put
Okay.
them in the tank for the pumps.
Yeah, and our, what do you call it, our heat shrink, okay?
Yeah,
Or heat
yeah.
shrink. And when I say high quality butt connectors, that's what I mean. Okay?
Yes.
They are, the plastic that they're made out of is something that is what's called chemically inert.
Yes.
Okay? And they're not supposed to be affected by fuel. I do look at that when I'm going to buy something, and I probably have made a mistake by not mentioning that on the videos, you know?
Yeah. There's
So-
another one we leave out sometimes.
Yeah, because I just don't think about it. So yes, they are safe for fuel. Most heat shrink in that, the stuff that I have seen, is not okay. It's not UV protected,
Oh.
so you can't like wrap yourself in it and then go out in the sun.
Oh, yes. You could
Okay.
get a sunburn.
Yeah. All right. So you have to be careful with it in that manner, but it's okay for engines and gasoline and oil and anything. I guess it would be considered a chemical.
Sweet.
The only thing I don't like about this fitting, I wish they would make it a lot shorter, and I don't know why they don't. Okay, because it ends up sticking out a lot and it's ugly. The exhaust manifold comes out here and hides it a bunch, and your spark plug sitting right here.
Yeah.
So it does hide it, but it is pretty ugly, okay? Just because it does stick out so far, and I don't like that all that much.
Yeah.
But, oh well, there are worse things to complain about, and I'll figure that out later and talk about it.
Yeah. We'll have more complaints.
So this is 18 gauge wire. I'm gonna just make myself a tunnel length on it, okay?
Okay.
So we're done with that one. I'm gonna heat shrink it. This is a heat shrink connector, high quality heat shrink butt connector.
Yeah, you said the butt.
Oh, I'm just gonna fold that baby over, because that wire is gonna go up around here. Come on.
Wow.
Oh, try not to make any comments in this video, please.
Oh, just me?
Yeah, you not make comments, please.
Oh, okay. I see.
So it's annoying.
Yep.
Yay!
Yay. Yep and yay.
Yep and yeah. Okay.
That's my line.
All right. So I just did that to make that wire a little shorter. I folded it over, pop it out of that corner. So you can see what I mean by not being too attractive. You know?
Doing it that way, though, I was thinking you could use a right angle spade connector there, but doing it that way doubles it back even more.
Yeah, I just do it that way in case I have to pull it off, kind of. It gives me something to
Oh, yeah.
grab a hold of it, and then I just heat shrink it so it's black, and maybe nobody will notice it, you know, at the car show and
Yeah.
tell me I stink. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's all your temperature sensor needs is that one green wire. Okay.
Sweet.
And for the most part, on most temperature sensors on whatever you're swapping, it'll be the same thing. If it's if it's not a Chevy or whatever, it might be a different color. I'm not sure, but you can figure that out. Okay.
Okay.
But that's how I do it on these. And so let's come over here and do the oil sending unit. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the wire that comes out of this truck and goes to the sending unit originally is brown, and I don't have a brown 18, but a lot of them were blue because this truck actually had another oil pressure switch that it was blue. So I'm going to use a blue wire.
Okay.
Just so I know that it probably had something to do with oil pressure. And the other one, that's another thing too. The 84 truck and those trucks in those years when they come out with electronic heated thermostats on the carburetor, they would run it through a switch instead of an oil sending unit. So you only had power going to that thermostat when the switch was closed.
Oh.
That stopped you from sitting in the car, you know, talking to your girlfriend or boyfriend with the radio playing, and
Oh yeah.
you know, you're sitting there for an hour talking, and and then the next thing you know, you go to start your car and you got no choke.
Oh.
Okay, so without oil pressure, it wouldn't supply power. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They got no business sitting in the car that long anyway.
Oh.
You know.
You must have a lot to talk about.
All right. So I need I need your hair dryer. All right, so nice long length of blue 18 gauge wire. It's just a path to ground. It doesn't need to be some giant 12 gauge wire. Would you have preferred purple, or is blue nice?
Oh, blue's nice. It's easy on the eyes.
And so you might be saying, why is he putting another thing of heat shrink over it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's black, okay? And I just like the black.
Yeah, make it pretty.
It looks better, right? Okay, so that's that. I gotta find some conduit. That's gonna come up through here. It's gonna join with that one. And that should do it. We're gonna use the original donor wiring harness, all right? So I know it's gonna run from up here over to my fuse box, okay?
Okay.
And the only reason it's running into the fuse box is because that's just where I hide the connection, all right?
Oh.
So, last week, our friend George stopped in,
Yes.
and he brought this to me. Cool tool.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited to try it.
I'm going to use it for the first time. I'm probably going to do it wrong, but
Someone
going
will
off
let
of
us
his
know.
instructions, but I'm putting the 2 wires in it. Okay.
Okay.
Turn it,
Ooh.
right?
Okay.
So, how is that going to work?
I think you do this into that. And then as you pull it,
Oh, I see. Pulls it.
pulls it apart. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I see. Sometimes it takes a little bit of a learning curve,
Yeah.
right? All right, so I'm gonna put that in there, turn it. Oh my
Oh.
goodness. This might be the best thing I've ever had.
Oh no. Probably should have taped it on this side.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh, it's a game changer. Wow.
Nice.
Very
George?
cool.
Can't thank you enough.
Yes.
You're the best.
That's awesome. Thank you, thank you. There's Cat 08 on it. It's a pretty sweet little tool. If I can find a link, I will put it in the description.
Let's put this tool to the test, okay?
Okay. Ooh, the
Yeah.
fancy braided loom.
Yeah. I don't have any of the smaller plastic conduit, okay? So we'll give this a try. I would imagine that it probably works on anything, right?
I think so.
So let's do that. And slip this stuff over it. Ooh.
Oh.
Okay. Because this stuff is definitely harder to deal with,
Yeah.
you know? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Tangled.
Oh, look at that.
Holy smokes.
Okay, so, and I know the single wire is going to come up right about to that height, the top of the intake, okay? It's
Okay.
going to drape over the top of the intake, so let's run it up that high. Let me try my new snap-on side cutters. Oh, okay. That's what it's like to have a new pair. Okay, so open it up, let it off. Perfect. Okay, so we figure we're going to go up about that high. Let's do it on the coolant wire. All right. Oh man, that's nice.
Crazy.
So maybe up to about there. My next favorite tool,
What's your first favorite tool?
a hammer.
Thought you'd say the torch.
Oh, a torch is pretty handy. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Uh-oh, popped out of there.
Oh.
I know. Actually, that conduit's too big, really, for 2 wires.
Yeah.
I'll probably just get another length of that stuff.
Of the braided?
Yeah, it'd look nicer than that. But I need to get a longer length of it to do it, so
Yeah.
we'll just do it like that for now. All right.
Sweet.
Okay, so I normally tape off the ends, even it out, and there you go.
Accidentally cut your wires.
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 Well, everything's wires these days.
What will they think of next?
Okay, so that's going to be it. We'll get the engine in there, and I know what those wires are going to go to, okay?
Sweet.
Mark them if you don't have a great memory. Take a picture of it,
Yes.
whatever. All right, so at this point, everything that I need to have done is done, okay?
Okay.
Let's talk about getting the interior, or whatever you'd call it, the engine compartment ready for us to put the motor in it, all right?
Okay.
So I've had this engine sitting in it 2 times now already, okay?
Okay.
The original, the purchase for the motor mounts, they were right here. They were 1.5 inches further forward on that bolt hole, okay?
Okay.
So I go into every one of them. I don't care if I did an 84 last week or whatever. I go into every one of them and I go, okay, well, I'm starting from scratch, so we're gonna do it like we've never done it before, okay?
Yep.
So I take and I set the engine in there, in the original spot, and I do it with the motor mounts in the position that we've used in the past, okay?
Yep.
It's the second hole to the last. There's another hole there. We could move it back one more notch, okay? But we don't. We use the second to the last notch, all right? And we'll talk about that. But I take and I do that, and I set the engine in there, and then I measure it, okay? So I measure from the back of the cylinder head on the corner to the firewall. And on this one, it was 3 inches. And that's too much. All right, so from right about there to the back of the firewall, it was about 3 inches.
Okay.
Okay? And I don't want it to be 3 inches. I want it to be as far back as possible. So what I did was, I know that I want it to be about 1.5 inches.
Okay.
And that gives me enough room for my fuel lines and gives me enough room for my transmission dipstick.
Oh, yes.
Okay? Because you gotta have a dipstick.
Yeah.
Okay? So by doing that, then I knew I could move this perch back 1.5 inches. All right? So I measured from the center of that bolt. I measured it back. I made a bolt hole for it there, 1.5 inches back. All right?
Okay.
You might notice these aren't tight. Okay? They're just sitting there because they have elongated bolt holes. And all right, so it gives them a little bit of play back and forth. Okay?
Okay.
Not much. You see it? Okay. Same thing on this side. And then brand new mounts, okay? Don't even think about reusing a motor mount from 1984 or back then. They're worn out. So put new mounts on, they're cheap. And that's why I like using the clamshell mounts. They're pretty inexpensive. They're great mounts. And they are accessible.
Yes.
You know, you can buy the other portion of it brand new, no problem. This part of it.
Yeah.
So that's how I did that. So I knew that I had to have that engine sitting back another 1.5 inches. So I moved that motor mount back, and then I set the engine in there again, and I measured everything. And it's 1.75 inches somehow or another from that corner to the firewall.
Okay.
Which is fine. I wanted 1.5 inches, but more is whatever. Not gonna hurt anything, right?
Yep.
So let's raise it up and talk about the rest of it, okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about the placement of the motor mounts.
Oh, yes.
Okay, the clamshell mounts, I like these. There are mounts out there. You might notice this is a stock pan, okay?
Okay.
So it's not a low profile one. This guy doesn't ever want to lower this truck. It's never going to be a problem for him. If you're going to lower your truck and you didn't want this to be a little bit below the cross member, then you might think about a low profile pan, okay?
Yep.
There are places out there that sell motor mounts that raise the engine up a couple inches, okay? Very bad idea. It doesn't work well, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
We actually have a truck coming in here that we have to fix because that's how it was done, all right?
Yes.
It wasn't done by me. Okay, so where do I put the motor mounts? I put them on the second to the last hole back, okay? So that one.
Okay.
All right, so, and I'll show you why here in a second, or I'll tell you why in a second. These are ICT brackets. Not a sponsor, but we love their products, and I wish they would sponsor us. That'd be nice.
Yes.
They could send me a handful of those, and I wouldn't complain. But by the time I put the clamshell mount on, and the height that this engine sits is perfect.
Yeah.
Using the stock cross member and a stock transmission mount from like a two-wheel drive Chevy pickup.
Yeah.
Or a van or whatever, they're all the same. But I do that, using this and using that, I get the exact engine angle that I want.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
And it has worked every time. And if you do not have that engine angle just right, you will have a drive shaft that shakes. Okay?
Yes.
And a whole truck that shakes, basically. At some point, because it makes it very difficult to get your drive shaft angle. All right? So. Now, we're gonna make one of our air conditioning brackets, and if you watched that video, I've totally redesigned that thing a different way now. So
yeah.
But the compressor sits here in the same spot, but it sits super close to that motor mount. Okay, but it just barely misses it. All right.
Okay.
So that's a pretty tight fit, and I have to go in and I weld the nut onto the motor mount because I can't get to it any longer with the compressor on there. And then I have to trim the bolt too, so I don't run the bolt in and hit the compressor.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be bad.
So somebody would ask me then, well, why don't you just put this in the second hole, in the last hole back to get it a little further away from it? Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, moving it forward moving the bracket back on the frame, I want to move it back as little as possible. Mm-hmm. Okay. But on that 78 Bonanza that we did, I did the exact same thing. And when I got it in there and I went to put the dipstick tube in for the transmission, mm-hmm. and it wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
And it was because of the lip that was on the firewall. It was a big, different lip that I wasn't used to. So, fortunately, I had one more hole there that I could use. All right? So it gave me the ability to just lift the engine up a tiny little bit and scoot it forward to that last hole on that bracket.
Oh, I see.
And then, so that's where that one is at. But that makes the engine a little further out front towards the radiator, and you lose that space, but you're only talking about a quarter of an inch there, so I could deal with that. But otherwise, I absolutely want it back as far as possible. And I looked at the lip on this one, and this one will work just fine in this spot. Okay.
Sweet. But
I'm still gonna just use it there because it works nicely there. Okay. Even though it's real close to the compressor.
Sweet.
Okay. The driver's side mount, same thing. It's in the same holes, of course. All right. I can get to this bolt, so I don't have to weld the nut on there. But that clamshell mount, it does cover up where my ground would attach. So when I go to wire it up, then I'm not able to get to my ground. So I built a little bracket out of some 1/4-inch steel, and this will be my new ground lug, okay? One that I can actually get to.
Yeah.
So I won't have to mess around with my wiring at all. That will be my engine block ground, just the way it is. You know, it's maybe an inch away from where it's supposed to be on the actual block, but it'll work, and then I don't have to put it somewhere else.
Sweet.
All right. So I'm trying to learn things. Okay. And on these LSs, there's one bolt here that's D-shaped, and it's a little smaller. Okay.
Okay.
And I've started marking it with a yellow paint pen. And I mark it back here too, so I can see it once I got it in there installed. But you can go ahead and tighten that bolt, and you don't have to do two passes around, you know, to tighten up your torque converter bolts.
Oh yeah.
And
makes it a little easier.
Yeah, and I mean, I get like kind of lazy doing that, but then you get to something else that, like if I work on another car, and then I find out it's like, oh no, I can't do it. I gotta loosen it back up, and so that spoils you a little bit. But I have started doing that just to save myself some time. Okay.
Yeah, we had somebody comment and
so hey, why don't you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're ready to put it in?
Yep, I think so.
Sweet.
Make sure you put your crank sensor in there. Don't forget that. It's black, Gen 3, right? Don't want to put a Gen 4 one in there.
No.
No. Alrighty. So, should we set it in the truck?
Let's do it.
Okay. Alright, so the other question that we did, we didn't take the hood off, okay? So we did undo the hinges. And if you undo the hinges, you can lift that hood up another 3 or 4 inches, okay?
Yeah.
And you're able to get that in there, no problem. I even got a bunch of slack on that, but it'll still go in there.
Yep.
Okay, you do need a cherry picker to do this.
Yeah. Otherwise it's really heavy. Oh no, snake.
I suppose I'm going to take the nut and bolt out of that first. That ain't going to be very easy to get in there. Right. You want to lower it a little bit for me? Can you do 2 things at once?
Sure. Going?
It's on them, right?
It's on this side.
Okay. All right, it's in there. So now I need to tie it up so it doesn't fall, basically.
Oh yeah. Oh boy, Juice is here to help.
Every time I get on a creeper, she has to come help.
You gonna help, Juice? Come here. Come here. Come on.
All right, you want to go let the jack down a little bit?
Sure.
All right. Does it look good, the angle?
A little down on the back.
All right. How's that?
That's probably good.
Okay. All right.
Sweet. Thanks for helping, Juice. That was very helpful. Oh, thank you.
Good enough without you. Now we can put something else on that thing.
Yay.
Okay. So, when I was putting them in there, you may or may not noticed, but these are loose, which I said before, right? Mm-hmm. It made it a lot easier to get those in there. Get the mouse to line up with those being loose.
Yeah.
And then it's probably, the engine probably isn't in there straight because those are loose. But once I put the transmission
Oh yeah, the crossmember.
crossmember on it, and then measure it and make sure I've got it right on the center, that'll give me the leverage to move it around and make sure it's sitting in there straight. And then I'll bolt everything down at that point.
Sweet.
But that is how low you want it to be sitting in there. If, say, you were using motor mounts where it raised it up some, the only way to compensate for raising if you raise the engine up 2 inches, if you want your drive shaft to be okay, you have to raise the tail of the transmission up 2 inches also.
Yeah, to keep that angle.
Yep, and there's not room to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no room, there's especially no room in the 67 to 72s.
Yeah.
They're really tight, but you need that in there as low as possible. If you have to buy a low profile oil pan to make that happen, you'd be saving yourself a lot of time and money and headache.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so back to the gauges, okay? I'm a long ways away from being able to, actually wire up all the gauges.
Yeah.
But this is part of the process of it, and at least that part of it's done, okay?
Okay.
So now what I want to do is, I have a pretty good idea of what these wires went to and everything, but I'm going to confirm it now, okay? While there's no mess here or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to supply power to the 2 power wires that go into power up the fuse box, the interior fuse box, all right?
Okay.
And then I'll supply ground off of a battery that I got over here. And we're going to make sure that the wires that we're looking at connecting these two to are the correct ones.
Yeah,
okay?
That'd be nice.
All right, so we got to get power going to these red wires.
Okay. What about that other red wire?
Oh, that's not a wire, that's a Twizzler.
Hey, that's my Twizzler.
You want to buy it?
That's my Twizzler. That's not fair.
Twizzler.
Not a sponsor.
Fine snack, not a sponsor.
I appreciate you stealing my Twizzlers.
Oh man, I wish they were a sponsor. All right, so let's put some power to it, okay? I'm just gonna run this over to this battery. Vice grip it on. And I'm not sure which one it is, so we'll just do both of them, okay?
Okay.
Put some power to that one. I'm not gonna run anything that uses a lot of amperage or anything, so that will be fine. Got a ground right there. We'll hook to the body ground. All right.
Okay.
So everything, the interior fuse box will have power, okay?
Okay.
Let me just check, make sure.
Don't worry. Yep. Sweet.
All right, so the power window rolled down, so that's a pretty good indication, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so you have these wires now, these smaller wires that came out. We talked about the green one. General Motors loved using the green wire for the temperature gauge, okay?
Okay.
So I looked at it on a wiring diagram also, but so I'm taking a pretty good educated guess that that's the sending unit wire for the temperature, okay?
Okay.
So let's take and see what it does.
Okay.
And the safest way to do it would be with a test light, okay? See if we got a ground there. Let's test my test light. All right. You see how nice and bright that is? Mm-hmm. Right? Good. Maybe if I could hold it long enough. See how bright that is?
Yes.
Okay. Almost blinding, right? All right.
Scary.
So we think this is the wire that goes to the temperature gauge. Okay.
Okay.
And with the key off, I have nothing. All right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go turn the key on, and that would supply power to the dash. All right. All right. So now the dash has power going to it, and the way those gauges work is power is on the other side of the gauge. Okay.
Okay.
And you see my light now?
Ooh.
And you notice something about it?
It's very dim.
That's right. Okay. So you might think that, oh, that has 12 volts going to it. Mm-hmm. That is most likely less than a volt. And it's making that test light light up that much. So I know that I could touch this to a ground, okay? And it's not going to do anything. If you went in and looked on the gauges on the truck, you'd see it bouncing around every time I touch it. Do you want to try it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Moves?
Yep.
Okay. Where's it at now?
Oh, it's like pegged.
Okay. He's moving back up?
Yep, it went back down to 100. Sweet.
Alright, so you can do it by grounding it out that way. People might be nervous to do that because you look at that light and think that there's 12 volts there, but there's really not 12 volts. Honestly, the safest way to do it would be to hold it to a test light, okay?
Okay.
And so that bulb is a resistor, the same as what these resistors are that are the oil pressure sensor and the temperature sensor, okay?
Okay.
So this light basically is going to act as a resistor. So if you go in and you look at the dash now, you'll see the temperature gauge sitting at a steady temperature. Okay? Whatever resistance this light is giving to it. Ready?
Yep.
What's it read? How many degrees?
220 or something.
All right,
Yeah.
so I'll take it off the test light, okay?
There you go. Like down to, I don't know, down to 100 or something. Okay.
Okay, so by doing it that way, that's the safest way to do it, okay? And then if you have somebody to go and look at that gauge while you do that, that's nice, you know?
Yeah.
Get one of your kids out of bed or
Yeah.
something.
Drag them out there.
Yeah, get a neighbor. If you got a nice neighbor or whatever, maybe they'll help you.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, that's how I confirmed that that is for the temperature gauge, okay?
Okay.
So, the other one, the oil pressure gauge. This is the connector that originally went to the oil pressure sending unit that I unplugged it, so. And it
Yeah.
also had this one, which is, see, it's nice and bright, okay? This blue wire is the one that went to the oil pressure switch that went to the electric choke.
Ah.
Okay, so it has 12 volts going to it, and then that oil pressure would come in and it would close that switch and it would send 12 volts to the electric choke on this truck.
Sweet.
All right, so if a person needed a source of power with the key on, there is one that comes out here, okay?
Yeah.
But we never use it, but we will when we wire up the speedometer. We could use that one.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that's true.
But otherwise, the pink one is gonna, we can check that too while we're at it. Make sure the pink wire's hot with the key on.
Yeah.
We kind of figured it would since we drove this truck into the shop. Okay. So let's try the oil pressure sensor, and it's gonna do the same thing. It's going through a gauge, so it's even more dimly lit, right? So let's go and look and see what the oil pressure reads now with the test light connected to it.
Okay. It's like pegged.
Okay.
Just-
Alright, I'm gonna take the light off of it then.
Okay. Oh, it went up. Yeah, you can see it moving when you're moving the light.
Okay.
Sweet.
Alright. So we know that's that one, okay?
Yep.
So we have temperature and oil pressure gauges that are going to work. You don't need to do anything at all to make the voltmeter work.
It already feeds through the.
Yep. Both those gauges get their power through the power from the voltmeter.
Just by supplying those two red wires.
Yeah, that makes the volt. That and the ground makes the voltmeter work with the key on, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. And it also makes the clock work. Okay.
That's handy.
This truck had a clock in it. All right. So we've got a lot of work to do this thing. We'll get it up and running basically, get most of the wiring done, get a fuse box in here. So the next time you see it, we'll make our connections here. I just do them once instead of twice, right?
Yep.
we will get to that point. We'll make all the gauges work with these wires that we found today and the ones that we wired up. And then we'll work on getting our speedometer going, okay?
Sweet.
So the original equipment, mechanical speedometer, will run off of this thing. And we'll do that, and then this truck can go back to Texas.
Yeah.
Okay? How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Great.
So thanks for watching this super cool video. I hope you tell all your friends you saw it here first at OK So Garage, and we'll catch you next time.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Sweet.
So let's just shut the camera off for a while I gather myself.
Gather your thoughts.
Yes.
Get in the zone.
Yeah. Where are my glasses?
Where's your gold chain?
Yeah, where's my gold chain?